at the time, other than our club, I just thought we just didn't run them. So, but I wasn't thinking like along race lines, you know. And I just thought, you
Yeah.
know, I'm one of them that like to run long, and nobody doesn't
Nobody.
like to run long.
Yeah. So what kept you involved with Team Marathon? Because it sounds like you were, a member of a lot of clubs. It sounds like you're pretty independent. What made you decide to, stick with Team Marathon?
Well, because it is a black running club. You know, like
Yeah.
I said, I didn't. You know, it was a that yeah.
And what are your memories of Dexter? What kind of person was he?
Oh God, we used to when we used to talk a lot, and basically. With Dexter, basically a lot of things that some other folk we would things that um, things that he didn't like what we were doing or something like that. Individual, it could have been me, him, somebody else. It's like I don't like when this happens or something like that.
Like what? Can you give me an example?
I can't even think of anything right now, but anything
Was
that
it something with running or just in
yeah,
general?
yeah,
Okay.
running general or something, or or as we should be doing with the club. And then mostly we talk about how we felt. Mostly it was about how we felt about the running and stuff like that.
Okay.
Or like he'd be taking like saying I'm tired and stuff like that, and I'm telling them, and we like diagnosing
Yeah.
diagnosing each other.
Okay. Okay.
So, but we said, but see, Dexter was always the cheerleader. He was always out there, even when he wasn't running. If when he was, last all time, then he was out there. He was out there pacing every back and forth. So basically, if all of us running a marathon, he may have gotten the marathon in just going out and meeting folks and bringing them in.
Going back and forth. Yeah, easily could have done 26.2.
Right. So just like now, a lot of guys is doing a half hour the same way. We didn't want to get injured and things like that. But just like in the barbershop, there's always talk. I have a bad memory. In a way, usually somebody bring up a subject because it's like, oh, I remember. But
Yeah.
in general, it's like we would be discussing the good and the bad.
Did the conversation ever go outside of running? Did you all ever talk about your lives or home or dreams or disappointments or anything like that?
No more than what might have been happening presently or what's going on, what you do today. Yeah, and if it was something was in common, saying yeah, me too, and but nothing serious, nothing more than how's everything going, and then you tell them how's everything going that particular day.
Right. Okay. So you all would meet there every Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. And then go running through East Cleveland?
Yeah,
or...
we first started. We was running through East. There's different routes, but one was through East Cleveland and Bracknell.
Yeah.
And then we used to beat out here. We used to run down Sam Center Road years later, because Sam Hill was a tough course, so we run up there, down there, and back again. So that was probably our toughest training course.
Okay.
And then it wasn't until recently everybody moved out to the park. I had been out and running in the park since early 80, 83, 84, so 85 at least. Before I ran my first rush, I was already in the parks.
Okay. Okay. So what was the atmosphere like when you all would go on those Sunday runs? I mean, I heard sometimes it would be like 50 of you out there going down, Superior or, whatever.
It wasn't that many. As far as the people that showed up, probably would have been like half that,
About 25. Okay.
But at one time, showing up at one time.
Yeah. Okay.
But because sometimes you'd have some other folks, some other non-members join or something like that. But usually most clubs, it's just like most clubs, and everybody doesn't show up at the same time. Yeah. But it was like, it was like any other meeting. The fast guys up there trying to race themselves, race each other, and burning themselves out, And normally I was usually running around in the middle of the pack when we trained.
So who were the ones who were trying to race each other?
Who was it? Usually Rick and Charles usually, Um, I'm trying to think would Vince be up there. I couldn't remember if he was one of the racers. He was one of the fast ones, but I can't remember if he was the one that was actually racing. But a couple of them would be racing, and others just be like doing their own thing.
So when they were racing,
I think Warren kind of did his own thing. I can't remember him like trying to. Yeah. I think yeah.
The ones who were racing each other. I mean, were they like? Would they greet each other by saying, okay, we're going to be racing each other today, or just they were just doing it and you knew what they were doing?
Right. It was it was kind of like automatic. You knew 2 or 3 of them was going to, they were going to try to beat each other back to the barbershop. But most of the time, everybody, when you running in a group like that, it's like you kind of settle down to the ones that your speed anyway. Those are the ones you be talking to and whatnot. But then after you get back to the barbershop, that's when everybody's talking how they felt and whatnot, or talking about each other. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, friendly stuff.
Yeah. Like what? Can you give me some examples?
If you did anything. I can't think of anything particular, but anything that might have happened during. Like I said, my memory is shot, and I can't think of any. The only specific thing I can think of, not necessarily about something happened, is that one time we was, and this is from my point of view, we were I forgot what year it was, but it was one of the coldest winters here, and it was like minus 60 with the windshield factor.
Oh, would this have been in the 80s?
It might have been.
I think I was here that winter.
Okay, and we were out running. Well, number one, normally, like I said, we already knew it was going to be a short run that day. We were like doing, I think some of us going to try to get in the double figures, but basically, it wasn't going to be no 20-miler today. But what I remember is that, a lot of people turned around after. Well, I remember that the people who turned around after 3 or 4 miles, that only did like 3 or 4 miles, turned out about a couple miles. I noticed afterward, they the ones were one that didn't have their face covered. All the ones that did the longest
had their face covered.
Yeah, because we went out into the wind and then we came back.
Yeah.
But I think I did 8 miles that day or something like that. Then I was wondering, I know people were looking at it like we're crazy because we running anyway. But then after I got back to the office, then I realized why they were like staring at us. Well, with the sweat and the snot and everything was frozen on us. I looked at the guy, walked in, go in the shop, looked in the mirror. It's like, oh, that's why they're staring at me. Yeah, ice. Yeah, we were all ice. It was just icicles.
Like eyebrows,
yeah, everything in it. You got hair, if you got sweat, we had icicles hanging from us.
So why would you all do that? Run in the winter? Why do you all run in the winter?
It was a Sunday. It was a running day. Duh. That means you don't run. It just means you just might don't run as far, Just like on a hot day, you might say, I'm going to cut it down a little bit. But on a cold day, you say, well, I'm going to cut it down a little bit more.
Okay. All right. So are there any, you have any specific memories about races? I mean, I saw in that slideshow some pictures of you all in some uniforms showing up at races, and like Warren and a couple of other people kind of gave me an impression that when you all would show up to races, folks would be like, oh, okay, there's Team Marathon. We have to.
Well, yeah, because most of us, including me then, but we would place in our age group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost, yeah. I mean, even now the shorter distance, like Vince and ones that still doing the shorter distance all over the years, and yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The coach.
Langston.
Langston. Well, they still with the Masters and whatnot, they're still running strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so over the years, we still got people still placing.
Right.
So all these after what 30, 85, 83, something like that. I forget, somewhere around there. 82, 83 when the team was formed, I forget. So still 33 years, you still we still placing in age groups.
Yeah. But like, were people like intimidated by you all? Like when you would show up to a race, or like what kind of reaction would you get?
Well, I wouldn't know. I was more or less one of the age going for age group. I wasn't fast enough to be overall.
Okay.
So Warren, or he placed overall. He was fast enough to place overall.
Okay.
So he would know more about that. But me, I was like only thing I was looking for people who was my age.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when you all run out in the streets as a group, did you ever get anybody ever call you names, or you ever felt threatened or harassed?
Personally, I was never. Not me personally, not at least not verbal. The only time that somebody ever said something, I was doing a training run out in Akron, and that's the only time in my life that everybody ever said something derogatory. And I've been all over the place, but that's the only time somebody said something, specifically said something to me.
Okay.
And guy comes driving around in a car or something.
Yeah.
Then he comes back around and says he was just kidding, and then went on again. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah. Do you think now Team Marathon? You have Marcia who runs with you all, and you had Ellen who moved to Georgia,
Right.
And I know Veronica is like very supportive, but it's still mostly men. And we live in a time where black men are struggling for respect. We have had this rash of situations where there have been altercations between the police and African American men, many unarmed, dying at the hands of the police. Do you think that people seeing a group of black men, running through the streets, keeping in shape, being committed to something, disciplined, do you think that has any effect on people, on society?
Okay, not as a group, I don't think. And it is still how you look. I mean, when we first started running, if you was running and had a hoodie on, you was running, we just figured you was a boxer then, But now a lot of times you got to be careful how you present yourself. Okay. If you running and looking all evil or too much into yourself, people might they might be afraid of you.
Right.
Some people, or even women too, like that. People like to look intimidating, so no one won't bother them.
Right.
But if somebody doesn't think they're going to bother anybody, they may be afraid of that person because they look intimidating.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could